What's up everybody, D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we are going to be doing a Godzilla Explained. This one you guys have been requesting for months now, and recently when I asked you guys to submit your ideas for Godzilla Explained, I noticed one thing. First of all, you guys really didn't have any ideas for Godzilla Explained for the most part. There was a couple of you guys who actually had an idea, but for the most part you guys really didn't seem to know what you wanted for these videos. So I leave this open invitation on this video now for everyone to hear. If you have an idea for Godzilla Explained or you need something cleared up, make sure you comment that down below so that I can turn it into a future video. You guys said you wanted more of this series, but then you didn't offer too much more in terms of what you wanted to see from it. So one thing that you guys did say you wanted to see was the explanation of what happens in the Godzilla Monster Planet timeline, and I'm totally cool with doing that. All the information from this video will come from Godzilla Monster Apocalypse, GodzillaAnime.com, which is the official anime website, one of my older videos, and the news sources attached to that. Yes, believe it or not, I have already covered this timeline. I haven't covered the Monster Apocalypse portion of it, but we have already covered a fair bit of what happens in Monster Apocalypse in that old video, which I'll link that down below. And of course, Wikizilla, who I got a lot of the translation from Monster Apocalypse from them, but not all of it. And I haven't seen their video on the Monster Planet timeline. That is something that I haven't watched. But if I had to guess, Wikizilla didn't do too much, we'll say, discussion about any of this. So that's what we're here to do today. Instead of just giving a factual beat-by-beat rundown of what happens in this timeline, we're gonna discuss what happens in this timeline, and I'm gonna share a little bit more of my opinion on it, because I figure if you guys are on this channel, you're here for my opinion, right? That's probably why you're here. I mean, yeah, the news helps, but I always give my opinion in those news videos too. So they get to be the factual ones, all right? We're gonna be a little bit more analytical and discussive in our videos. I don't know if discussive is a word or if I made that up. Our timeline starts out in 1999, which in the real world was the same year that Godzilla 2000 was released, aka Godzilla Millennium, which kicked off the Millennium era of Godzilla movies, in case you didn't know. Alright, so our timeline starts out in 1999. On May 4th, Kamacuras destroys New York City. It's a bit untasteful that Kamacuras destroys New York City because, according to Monster Apocalypse, it involves him knocking over the World Trade Centers. I don't know, like, who thought that was a good idea, but alright, we'll live with it. So 2.5 million people die as a result of the attack and following attacks done by baby Kamacurases that attack people in the subway stations. It's very Cloverfield in that way. The adult Kamacuras dies when a bunker buster bomb, the same thing that shot Shin Godzilla, attacks him. In 2002, Dogora comes from space and destroys London and Manchester. Dogora is killed by chemical weapons, so they use chemical warfare against him. From my understanding, this is the exact plot of the movie Dogora the Monster from Space, or Dogora the Space Monster. Which, if you want to hear me cover more of the connection between that movie and that event, make sure you go check out the Godzilla Monster Planet All Easter Eggs Explained video that I've done in the past. We talk more about the connection there. It is stated that 4 million people died during this attack. Kamobos shows up in 2002 just like Dogora. The same year, a second Kamobos shows up. They attack the Philippines and Guam. So for those of you who don't know, Kamobos, I'll keep it in terms of Godzilla because that's what you guys are going to know. He shows up, he's a dead monster in, I believe, Tokyo SOS. That's really the only thing that a lot of Godzilla fans will know him from, because he's pretty obscure. He was previously from the Space Amoebas movie. In 2005, Rodan and Anguirus show up and attack Asia. Rodan and Anguirus attack China specifically. Beijing is hit by both monsters. Later on, Hedorah is sent out to fight the two monsters. The plan works, it's been dubbed Operation Hedorah, and the two monsters are killed. In this series, Hedorah is a bioweapon. He was found, so I guess he's some organism that was found, in the 90s, and then grows into a monster that the Chinese decide to unleash on Hedorah and Rodan. You can actually see the aftermath of this in the beginning opening scenes of Godzilla Monster Planet. Hedorah goes rampant and consumes loads of pollution, and then destroys more of China before disappearing into the night. So because Anguirus died in 2005 during the Hedorah attack, a new Anguirus appears in 2006 and destroys South Africa. In 2012, a 10-meter tall, aka 32-foot, monster named Gabra attacks in the Amazon, and by attack I mean he's discovered wandering around the forest. The man who discovers him is named Ichiro, just like the little kid from Godzilla's Revenge. He is apparently cruel to wildlife, but he's not necessarily bad. A lot of people would tell me in my Easter eggs video that, D-Man, you're an idiot because you know, you said that Gabra wasn't that evil in this series, and he really isn't. You know, he tortures wildlife. So what? Humans do that all the time. Are humans evil? I guess that depends on your perspective, actually. So, you know, if your perspective is that's bad, then I guess he is evil. He is injured in an explosion and shot by an arrow. He falls into a river where he dies due to, quote, natural causes, and by that I mean he's eaten by wildlife. He may have attacked people, and I didn't read that part of the translation, but from what I know, he doesn't actually hurt any people, so I'm gonna say he's not that bad, and people need to spread the love for Gabra, because, you know, he doesn't get a lot of it. In the late 2010s, Godzilla attacks the Mediterranean. Godzilla was from Space Amoeba. In 2015, Ebra is killed out in the sea. I don't know why they would have Godzilla be this, like, oh man, he's so freaky, he keeps attacking us in the 2010s era, and he's making it real hard to go around the Mediterranean, and then Ebra is just killed. Like, I feel like it'd be cooler to have Ebra play a more prominent role and have a little bit more to do. So, I don't know. Later on, we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. So, Dogora appears in South Africa. Barem, the starfish, interferes with military operations and attacks on Dogora, because I guess if Dogora is injured, they'll spread through the city and hurt the military and hurt people and civilians. I don't remember too much about Dogora and Barem. I guess it's just because I'm not too familiar with the Rebirth of Mothra movies, but I don't really know what the power set of the Barem is. Dogora then goes on to attack Australia, killing millions, but the Australians eventually are able to take him down and kill him. Thousands then die as a result of the Barem attack that follows. The Griffin attacks Egypt, Megalon destroys South Africa, seems Africa really can't get a break in this timeline. Orga destroys Turkey, and Orga is killed the same year, and there is no reference to his space origins or his interest in Godzilla or anything like that we got in Godzilla 2000, so this is a completely reinvented version of the character. You know, all of these are reinvented versions of the characters, but him, it seems like, especially different from what we have been used to in the past. Manda hunts ships in the Atlantic, but that's pretty cool. You know, we don't get a lot for Manda to do in these Godzilla movies, or really any movies, so it's cool to hear that he's actually playing a role in this timeline. Maguma attacks North Korea. Finally, I really want a Godzilla movie where like Godzilla specifically goes and levels North Korea, but if it has to be Maguma, I'm fine with that. You know, I'm actually, never mind, I'm not fine with that, because I really would like it to be Godzilla, but it is funny in this timeline, because the US does not hesitate. They do not miss their chance to hit those Koreans with bombs, because shortly after Maguma's appearance in North Korea, the US sends nukes out for him. Also, Maguma isn't really cool at all. He was played by Haruo Nakajima in Gorath, but, I mean, it could have been Godzilla. That would have been much better. In the 2020s, Odaku sinks ships in the South Pacific on a regular basis. Now, again, I don't know why they killed off Ebra earlier, because this seems like it could have been a really cool chance for him to do something really awesome in this timeline. But I guess just give this role to the big octopus that was eaten by Ijin Tsuburaya after he got beat up by King Kong a little bit. That's fine. Manda, Gazora, and Gaimes attack in the Atlantic on a regular basis, so that's pretty cool. Dead Kamobas appear on Odo Island. This is very similar to the movie Godzilla Tokyo SOS, where Dead Kamobas also washes up on shore. Dr. Yamane, I love that reference to the 1954 Godzilla movie, theorizes that a large monster is to blame for it. Shipping disasters start to happen in the Pacific, but I mean, there are already shipping disasters happen all over the world, and Odaku's already sinking ships in the Pacific, so this isn't that cool, but I love the original setup. It's like shipping disasters start. Yamane names this new unseen creature responsible for it after one of the legends on Odo Island. He calls it Godzilla. That's really cool. I love that origins for Godzilla in this series, and I love how you get this stuff happening in 2030, and it still takes a while for Godzilla to finally show up. You know, he doesn't show up right away. So the same year in 2020, a new Anguirus, Varan, and Baragon appear in LA, and I really love the idea where there are just loads of each species of kaiju. Toe's played around with this a little bit before, having kaiju species, but we've never seen it done to this extent. You know, we got a little bit of that in the Showa era, but that was more of just like characters would die and then show back up, and you'd have to assume that they were different versions of those characters, and you know, there's been a little bit more of that done throughout each era, but you never got anything like this. So Godzilla shows up and kills all 3 monsters, that is the new Anguirus and Varan and Baragon. He kills all 3 of them, along with 8 million humans in San Francisco and LA. Then Godzilla rages his way through the West Coast. So at this point, a lot of you may be thinking, wow, this does sound like an awesome movie. How come we couldn't get this as a movie instead of Godzilla Monster Planet? And my answer to that is, I have no idea. Toho, I guess, just doesn't like money, because this would have made so much more money than any of the installments in the Godzilla trilogy we are getting. Like, this, honestly, just reading it right now, it's very unsatisfying. I want to see it. I want to see this happen in the anime. Sure, I don't care. Like, would it be better in live action? Oh yeah, but we already got Final Wars, so we got enough. But I would love to see this in the anime. I don't know why they just decided, nah, we'll breeze past it. In 2031, Godzilla destroys Washington, Colorado, and Indianapolis. 150 nuclear bombs hit Godzilla when he's making his way through the eastern US. Keep in mind, Godzilla is as young as Godzilla Phileas at this time, meaning that these 150 nuclear bombs that hit him aren't enough to kill Godzilla Phileas. That means that when Godzilla's fully grown, when he's Godzilla Earth, you know, or I guess he's not fully grown, right? He'll never stop growing according to this timeline, but when he's grown to the point that he's at in Godzilla Monster Planet, when he's Godzilla Earth size, if the 150 nukes couldn't kill him when he was little, imagine how much it would take to kill him when he's big. This is just like my backhand defense for those Cloverfield videos that people still disagree with, and I just don't think that those people watched both videos if you still disagree with it. In 2031, Kumonga and Kamacuras appear in the US. I like these two being paired together. They're not paired together a lot, only in Son of Godzilla, really, but I like these two together because their names are very similar. And at this point in human history, only 2.3 billion people are left alive. That is a big difference from the 7 billion that are alive currently, and I'm sure at this point in the future, by the 2030s, there will be a lot more. So yeah, a lot of people have died. In 2034, Godzilla destroys the European nations. In 2035, the Exif arrive on Earth. In 2036, the Bilosaludo arrive on Earth. If you want to hear more about their arrival, go check out my Godzilla Explained for the aliens in the Godzilla Monster Planet timeline. Megaguirus and Rodan attack Siberia the same year in 2036, and the United Space Nations... the Earth Union is formed in 2036. We will see the remnants of the Earth Union in Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle. In 2039, anti-nuclear bacteria along with Jet Jaguar are created. I don't think he's actually called Jet Jaguar. I think they do have like some code name for him, but it's Jet Jaguar, alright? G-Force is created around the same time, I think, or at the very least this same year. G-Force fights Manda with their weapon, Goten. Manda is killed as a result. In 2039, the French are attacked by a monster they call Godzilla. The monster is revealed to be Zilla after being killed by a single shot from a maser tank. That's kind of hilarious, actually. The maser tanks, they do some damage. We saw them tear down Gyra the Green Gargantua back in the Showa era, but then you see them go up against Godzilla in the Millennium era, and he tanks it. So it's pretty hilarious that they just waste Zilla in one shot. You know, they don't waste the character, they just, they kill him. I say they don't waste the character because of what comes next, and what comes next is the species spreads out of control as a result of Zilla laying eggs. The monsters are failed to be dealt with, and they wind up taking over the entire city as a result. And eventually, they are finally taken out, but not before a lot of things happen. So like the Zilla babies will run diversion routes, attracting the military, and then the big Zillas will attack, and there's a lot that you can go into with this that, you can look up on your own, and it's really, really cool. Actually, I would like to see something like this as its own full movie. It's just the Zillas attacking this city, and just how smart they sound in this timeline where they're able to successfully make traps and run routes and trick the military. It just sounds incredibly cool. So for those of you Zilla defenders out there, just know that he does get his time to shine in this series. Along, he's gotten his time to shine in like the animated series and Rulers of Earth, so it's not like the character's always horrible. It's just in his solo movie. In 2039, Biollante appears in Normandy. G-Force uses Mogira to fight and kill Biollante. I don't think there's any reference to Biollante being a sister to Godzilla or being a spawn of Godzilla or anything like that. That seems like a really big wasted opportunity, especially after in the anime timeline, we know that these servums are offshoots of Godzilla, so it's like, if we're gonna get offshoots of Godzilla, you might as well say Biolante's the first. Maybe they do, you know, I haven't actually read the Godzilla Monster Apocalypse, I've just read some rough translations online, but from my knowledge, Biolante is not related to Godzilla in this timeline. In 2039, so the same year as we've been in so far, Gorosaurus appears in Paris. The Earth forces kill him shortly after. In 2042, so there's some time between attacks here, in 2042, Godzilla starts consistently attacking the world until 2044. 1.2 billion people are left alive on Earth, and the Earth nations plan for evacuation, and that's evacuation of the planet. In 2045, 2,000 nuclear bombs blow up on/near Godzilla, and Godzilla lives, but he is trapped underground. That was the plan. They were planning to trap him underground. In 2046, Godzilla escapes his tomb, Mechagodzilla is built but fails to activate, and Godzilla wins the final battle at Mount Fuji. In 2048, same year, 15,000 of Earth's inhabitants are evacuated from the planet, and they leave on 2 separate ships. In 2070, the smaller of the 2 transport ships that has left Earth reaches its respective destination. The planet turns out to be uninhabitable. Captain Sakaki is imprisoned for mutiny. Sakaki releases a plan to kill Godzilla on a public server while in jail. He is aided by an Exif named Mephes. The ship uses ludicrous/warp/hyper speed to reach Earth in only a matter of minutes. The hyperspace moved the ship 20,000 years into the future. This is as a result of how fast it's going. For those of you who don't know, this is actually physically possible. If you were to travel at light speed, or you can't travel faster than light, but if you were to travel at light speed, you would actually go so fast that time and space is basically warped around you to the point where what seems like a minute for you will be a lifetime for someone else. So here we are in the 22,000s. Haruo is granted a team to head to Earth to kill Godzilla. The team is attacked by bird-like monsters called the Servum. It is found that Earth has a new atmosphere built around Godzilla's biology. After the attack from the Servum on the humans, Captain London orders the abandonment and evacuation of Earth. While leaving the planet, Godzilla attacks, blowing up a transport ship. Haruo is put in command of the survivors and takes on Godzilla after the death of Captain London. After trapping Godzilla, like in the past, and using mechs as well as new sound bombs and EMPs to disrupt Godzilla's biomechanical EMP shield, you know, it's very technical, Sakaki succeeds and kills Godzilla. As the team is celebrating the victory, a mountain erupts, and the original Godzilla, who is over 300 meters, rises. Godzilla destroys all of the humans on the surface of Earth, except for a few, and knocks Haruo out. He eventually wakes up to find that he's been rescued by a strange Earth native. This is the end of Godzilla Monster Planet, and this is as far as we're going to go for this video. We'll cover the events that follow this after the next 2 installments of the series are released, and probably a much more recapped version of this recap of the timeline. In Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle, a preparation for final war with Godzilla is made, and in Godzilla Eater of the Stars, Mechagodzilla, Godzilla, and King Ghidorah will most likely have a final battle. Hopefully all of them die. That does it for the timeline, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time. Please do leave those requests down below so that I know what you guys want on this channel in terms of Godzilla Explained videos, and I will see you guys next time. D-Man out.